Why can't you keep your house organized? It is an excellent question, right? Because you did the work. You spent a whole Saturday digging stuff out from under the sink, finding random things shoved into the back of a closet, maybe dumping out your bag and rearranging everything into pouches and sleeves and pockets. Maybe you went out and got some bins or ordered a new label maker from Amazon that you saw on TikTok last week. Whether you finished everything or not, you definitely got a ton sorted. All your jars are now facing the same direction in your pantry. Everything looks just like your favorite Instagram expert's home now too. I mean, if she can do it, you can do it, right? And of course you can. Then you collapsed on your sofa, you scanned your living room, and were really proud, probably pretty tired, as you enjoyed the view. Sunday was a relaxing day with the family, or maybe even a solo outing. And then Tuesday happened. Felt like stuff was flying at your face all day long, and all you could do was play dodgeball with your stuff and try to survive. Now it's Saturday. There's crap piled up on the kitchen counter again. That comfy chair by the window looks like your closet threw up on it, and that drawer in the kitchen, it won't close again. Any of this sound familiar? Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. You were actually trained to expect this, crave it even. Every organizing show I've ever been on is built on this premise. You're a hot mess, you get an intervention. Everything's beautiful and organized and together. We all celebrate, woo, we did it. Then everything falls apart again. That is exactly why I refuse to be on the Hoarders Show. And every organizing video you've ever watched follows the same script. Overwhelming disaster, dramatic music, a sped up sequence of all the work being done, a gorgeous reveal, confetti, woo! It's done. It's extreme makeover for your junk drawer. That is not organizing. That is Humpty Dumpty with better lighting and a soundtrack. Or what I call yo-yo organizing. Same as yo-yo dieting. You lose it, you gain it back, you lose it again, and somewhere in that cycle, you start mistaking the cycle itself for the process instead of recognizing it as the failure it actually is. Nobody is filming themselves putting the scissors back in the drawer when they're finished using them. There is no before and after for that. There's no music swell. There's no dopamine hit. So we skip it. We let it pile up because piling up is what earns you the satisfying reveal later. The mess isn't an accident. It's the price of admission for the part we actually enjoy. I want you to think about what you actually tell yourself in the exact moment you're holding something and deciding whether to put it away right now or set it down on the surface. Probably you're saying something like, I'll do it later. I'm too tired for this right now. I'm too busy right now, but I will definitely get back to it. I'm too spontaneous. I'm too free-spirited to live by someone else's rules. I am the boss of me. Of course you are. And I've said every one of those things to myself too. And then I say this, winners do what they have to do. Everyone else does what they want to do. It's not sexy, but it sure gets me up off my butt and finishing whatever it is I wanted to walk away from. As soon as I started using Grubhub and DoorDash, I recycled the binder of takeout menus. I didn't need them anymore. I did not leave them in the bottom drawer of the stove until I got around to it. Here's the math nobody wants you to run. Keeping something organized takes a fraction of the time it takes to reorganize it from scratch. Putting the scissors back costs you literally 4 seconds. Finding the scissors 3 weeks from now after they've migrated to a junk drawer, the bottom of a backpack, and then were finally found hiding in some random laundry pile, that costs you considerably more than 4 seconds and probably a few choice words mostly directed at yourself. What a loser you are, how lazy you are, what is wrong with you? Look, I wouldn't be motivated to do much either with that stream of meanness directed at me. It's no wonder you feel demoralized and like a failure. You have been telling yourself that for longer than you probably want to admit. Here's the thing. Maintenance is cheap. Recovery is expensive. Emotionally expensive, time expensive, and sometimes even money expensive too. But for all the costs involved, we keep choosing the expensive one because it comes bundled with a big reveal, a juicy shot of dopamine, and the cheap one just doesn't. Think of it like raking the leaves in October. When they first start to fall, instead of waiting until every last one has dropped in November, doing it a little at a time continuously, boring. There's no big triumphant afternoon where you clear the entire yard and post the after photo. You just keep doing it. This way, your yard never turns into the disaster that needs a triumphant afternoon in the first place, but you don't get the big rush of exhausting yourself. You know what else you don't get? You don't exhaust yourself. Funny, right? That's what maintenance actually feels like, and I get it. Having to stop while I'm recording this to go get lunch and then clean up can feel tedious. Like, didn't I just do this already? How did the kitchen get so messy? All I made was one freaking sandwich. So believe me, I do get it. It isn't glamorous. It's repetitive. It's predictable. It can feel dull and flat, tedious, and like a waste of time. Just like making the bed. You're just going to get back into it in 12 hours. I mean, why bother? And we have been trained by literally everything in our lives, social media, entertainment, marketing, to treat repetitive and predictable as personal failures instead of exactly what they are, the thing that actually works. I mean, who wants to be boring? Because we are wired for excitement and novelty. It's not a character flaw, it's how our brains actually work. The problem is where we go looking for it. We don't have to hunt and gather anymore. We just have to go to Costco or Sam's Club and bulk up. So we manufacture fake novelty where we are in control, right here at home. We read magazines, we scour the internet for the latest in bins, seeking out new, fresh systems, a whole new aesthetic for the pantry, when what we actually crave is probably out there in the world. And again, I get it. It's scary out there. In here, it's safe. And you get to play house, just like they taught and trained you in kindergarten. So instead of taking all the time we could be saving with a functional home to explore a new trail, or have a new conversation with someone we don't get to see enough, or checking out a new restaurant, or even reading a new book, we create a mess so we have something to do. Your home was never supposed to be the source of stimulation in your life. It was supposed to be a nest, a quiet, functional place you come back to after you've gone and had an experience. I don't have time to lay out the whole maintenance system here, how it actually works to put things back as automatic as it needs to be to stop the cycle for good. That is detailed other places, not here. But I will tell you this. You don't need another home transformation. You've had plenty. What you need is to stop chasing the latest trend and transform yourself instead. Not as sexy or fun, perhaps, but a lot more rewarding for sure. So, are you the kind of person who wants to build the maintenance habit yourself at your own pace without waiting for the next collapse? Or are you ready to break the cycle for good, live with me this week? If it's the first one, my Wall Street Journal best-selling book, Unstuff Your Life, walks you through that entire system step by step, including exactly how to make maintenance as automatic as it needs to be. You'll find the link below. If you're the second one, the De-Stress Your Mess Challenge gets you off the yo-yo for good, live with me, also linked below. See you next time.